really lucky to have Tom Wehri here. He's from California, but he is on the executive board of the National Association of Conservation Districts, and he represents the Pacific region, which includes Oregon, all the way out to the Mariana Islands.
All the way up to Saipan.
But, thanks for being here, Tom.
Thank you. I'm going to continue a little more, but this time I'm going to focus a lot of it from the National Association view of services we provide. Looking up here, I noticed when we got up here, there wasn't seats, so I was sitting over there. These are all the state people and local implementers. I was sitting over there at the federal. No, that was intended to be. But your National Association represents all the conservation districts in this country. So as Terry said, I was the Pacific region representative on that executive board. The activities of NACD are focused at the national level. So the items I want to cover first are, we got to talk a little bit about Farm Bill. Guess what? After our elections, we get the new legislature in place in January. There's going to be discussion about the next Farm Bill. That process has started already. A lot of the programs which you saw listed here are the result of the Farm Bill. But the IRA is a different situation. That's what I was talking about this morning, the different money. So NACD has a legislative Farm Bill task force. They have developed all their established priorities, and a lot of it's focused on locally led at the local level, implementing at the local level, and in that arena. As part of that, we have a legislative staff of 3 people in DC who work with the congressional, the delegations and stuff, providing information and how we ought to, directions we ought to go. So that task force has been developed, its principles, those tracking points. Actually, we have started to do the activities on that. Michael Crowder, the president, has actually testified before the Ag Appropriations Committee. I think Terry was there, I believe, when it went on. So she got to see what happens at the national level. Let me tell you, those are really important times because that sets a framework on how a lot of your legislatures at the congressional level look at what we're doing. And that's where they ask the question. So it's really important you have that someone advocating for you at the national level. So that Farm Bill, I would expect, is going to kick off a lot more hearings. The timeline right now says it's supposed to be done by this next year. However, don't be surprised in my mind that gets extended with all the things that's going on for another year or something. You don't know, but their timeline is they're supposed to have a new Farm Bill out in 2023. So we'll see where that goes. So your association won't be working there. I also want to mention the current programs, which are pass-through programs, which NACD administers to each of you. First is the Technical Assistance Grant Program, which implements the Farm Bill items, which are mentioned here. And boy, it's been there 3 years now. We expect that to continue at probably as in its current form or maybe accelerate with the funds that are coming into NRCS. So that's a partnership thing. And for that, I think you all recognize those priorities for funding for those technical assistance funds are based on a priority working with your state conservation. So talk to Ron if you got needs within that arena. But NACD administers those as pass-throughs, and we do that work. The second one of that is Urban Technical Assistance Grant. That program has been going on for 3 years. It's the same thing with the emphasis on this last Farm Bill where urban all of a sudden is an acceptable item and something you want to work at. And Ron mentioned that basically you had one of 17 in the country. That program is still there, funded at the tune of about a little better than $1 million a year for projects. So we also expect that to continue and to accelerate in the following years. So don't hesitate to look at those requirements. The last one I'm going to mention is a real small program that we have at NACD called Friends of Conservation. That is actually where we only give 8 grants a year nationally to conservation districts, maximum of about $2,500 each, but they're for capacity building at the local level. What you can put in for there is not constrained by all this EQIP and all that. It's where you need the money. And we hope to continue to grow that, but that is funded actually through contributions to the private side into the Friends of Conservation, and we fund those programs nationally. Don't hesitate to look at those little ones, particularly the districts who, don't have a lot of support. It's a good way to go. That's the part on funding, but now I want to talk a little bit about, I call it staffing. Your National Association, as indicated, you have a regional representative representing the whole Pacific region. Ariel Rivers, who was the NACD regional person, has been promoted, I guess, to head of membership now for the association. So she sets up the membership division for us. We have just selected a new member for our representative for the Pacific region. It's Caleb Griffin. He's actually located now in Susanville, California, and they work for this area. So Caleb I've had my first discussion with him about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and he's interested in learning. Incidentally, folks, this is a little different. He came from NRCS to us. He was an NRCS employee, so and he was a Forest Service employee before that. But Caleb is, you can contact him at Caleb-Griffin@nac.org.
Yeah, and I can put you in touch with him if yeah.
And I got his cell phone and phone number if you need it. But what's important here is that's your person who's out here in the region to help you support, and particularly at the state association level. Man, we got to figure out how to work stronger and more efficient together because of the area we're at. And so he's a career person, or he's a person there to represent you. He would normally be at this meeting, being he just knew, guess what, they drafted me, so you had to put up with me. But that'll be your contact in the future. After talking about the Farm Bill, the past two programs, the services, I would be remiss, I wouldn't make a pitch and say thank you to all the districts who pay your association due. Remember, NACD is a 501c3. The activities that we carry on for the legislative work, that staffing, the regional assistance, they get funded out of your dues. We can't do that work using any of this other funds. So therefore, your dues are tremendously critical in us providing services to every state. So, full-time membership is $775, but don't be afraid to go up to a couple thousand if you want to. But with 3,000 districts annually, we only have about $1 million in that. The success of the organization is truly going to depend upon dues growth as well as the pass-through dollars, because without that, we can't represent you on what you need. So I'm making a pitch here saying thank you for all of you who have paid dues, but please continue to. They're the strength of what we go at. The last thing I really want to address very quickly is upcoming events. Our 77th annual meeting will be in New Orleans, February 11th to the 15th, 2003, at the Marriott. I'd certainly, that's just a week before, before Lent. So they got a big celebration going down there. But come on down and see what the National Association does and things like that. The important things we'll be covering there is actually we're going to do a bylaw update, which basically drastically changed some of the operation things. And fortunately or unfortunately, I had to chair that committee. But we'll do those changes. We're going to finish up cleaning up our policy manual. And basically, they'll have more information, I think, on the climate change program, because that's being developed now. Really, the only other part I think I want to mention here is you have a new chairman for the executive board member. It's Michael Argan Michael's from Guam. He will be your representative for the Pacific region. And Terry, who I know knows him well. But what's important here, I think, is when we look at the Pacific region with just California, Oregon, Washington, and Idaho being the principal, all the other states are truly the islands and all the way out to Saipan and Alaska. So Michael's representation here on the executive board, I think, will truly make us that diversity we need on our executive board. The only other thing you got left is the Pacific region will be elected a representative to serve as your Pacific region chair. That was Michael before, so I've encouraged Terry and anyone else, if you're interested, to get active in that arena and represent the Pacific region there. At this time, I just want to say thank you for everything you do and everything. You make things happen at the local level. I'm here just representing you at the national level, and I want to say, keep up the good work, and I'll be around to answer any questions. I'll be around for the rest of the day, and I'll go sit down over there again.
Would you like us to bring a chair up?
No, I could go down. I can go down. For questions, I can come up. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.